Hi everybody, I hope you're doing great today. We've got some kind of fun days coming up. Tomorrow is Friday the 13th. I'm going to talk briefly about the meaning behind that. And then on Saturday, we have a new moon and a solar eclipse together. And then the last thing is I want to share some channeled information that I got guidance to share with you today. So let's begin. And thank you for tuning in. So Friday the 13th is nothing more than a franchise of movies that have been really successful. There's absolutely no truth behind the number 13 being dark or evil, or Friday the 13th as being scary. There's nothing to it. I did come across a few things that suggest why superstitions came up about the 13th. The first one is Hammurabi's Code was the first written laws, and the number 13 law was just left out. Some people take this to mean that 13 is unlucky, but why it was left out was probably it was a clerical error, and there's no significance to it. The second thing I came upon was that Jesus had 13 people at the Last Supper. Some Christians may interpret that to mean that 13 is an unlucky number, but there's no validity to it. Friday the 13th is just about a movie. Now, on Saturday, we have a new moon. We've talked before about how a new moon is the chance for us to set forth new intentions, but it's also a solar eclipse. And about 3 to 4 times a year, we do have a new moon that coincides with a solar eclipse. These things together give us an opportunity, a change of energy that we could either learn from or just ignore. On Saturday, we have a new moon and a solar eclipse happening at the same time. The new moon is sometimes called the invisible phase because we don't see much of it. This solar eclipse happening on Saturday is called an annular ring of fire. It's called that because of the placement of the sun, the moon, and the earth. So you've got the sun and the earth, and they're opposite of each other, but the moon is in the middle. And so for about 5 minutes on the west coast and over the southwest and the Four Corners area, for just about 5 minutes, it's going to be visible. And what we see is when we look up at the sun, it looks like the moon is blocking it partially, but we can see the outline of the sun. That's called the ring of fire. And it's just that the moon is in a position between the sun and the earth where it's shadowing or putting into darkness part of the sun. When special things happen like an eclipse or a full moon, energetically, there's information behind it that we can explore if we want to, or we can just ignore it. I like paying attention to the phases of the moon. There are 8 phases of the moon. Like I've mentioned before, it helps me keep track of what I was thinking or planning and where I'm going next. I find it very helpful. The last thing that I wanted to share with you is a message from my guides. And so how it works is before I do a video, I ask what do I need to say? What do I offer up to the collective? What feels right? And then I go with that. And so I usually will write down a few ideas that I get from my automatic writing. Ask about that if you want clarification. It's a super powerful tool to tap into our higher self and spiritual aspects. And so I write down what it is that they want me to address, but then I go into it a little bit deeper with the actual full channeling. And so I'm going to do that for you now. Okay, so the main theme of what came through for me to share with you today is that it's time to clear out and remove any spiritual clutter, cosmic garbage that has accumulated over the last 20 years. So whatever comes up for you, whatever you imagine first, that's indicative that that's something you need to release. Secondly, because of the juxtaposition of the planets, because of changing energies, which we've talked about before, Saturday's solar eclipse opens up a door or a window for you to gain clarity and decide what path you want to take. When that window of opportunity opens up, that's a good time for you to explore questions, to practice your intuitive skills and so on. But if you're a little bit more advanced, you may receive actual information or downloads at this time. It's kind of like this time on Saturday is an open window for you to explore what is up for you. Another thing that my guides offer is at this time, it's very important for you to tune into your throat chakra. That's our place of communication. And for you to get out, to express anything that's been building up or troubling you, and that fits with releasing things, events over the last 20 years that have been some kind of spiritual buildup or cosmic garbage. As we're expressing whatever it is that we want to say, it's very important that we're coming from a place of love and choosing our words consciously, coming from a place of love, because if you're experiencing downloads or some kind of information and there's something that you want to get out that's been building for some time, it's going to be received and heard clearer if you come from a place of love and you're not all emotionally frazzled and with anger, resentment, and negative feelings coming through. This is a time where the portal is open for you to express what it is that's important, changes that you want to see, things that you need to release and clear out, because that makes space for new information to come in. And some of this new information that is wanting to come in has to do with what path are you going to choose. We've talked about coming from a place of love or coming from a place of fear. But right now, like now, is the time where you need to make a decision about how you're going to proceed forward. Are you going to proceed with openness and love, or are you proceeding from a place of fear? If you're coming from a place of love and openness, you're going to find this an excellent opportunity to get questions answered, to develop your intuition, to connect with the cosmic-y stuff that I offer on this channel. If you choose to come from a place of fear, anger, then that's actually going to block any downloads or higher quality information, light knowledge, light information will be blocked if you're coming from a place of fear and mistrust. As we receive downloads, or as we're releasing with careful words what it is we want to say or remove, it's very important that what we're tuning into is of the light, is of love. And so imagine as you're receiving information that it goes into your heart first. Your heart will process it appropriately and energize you, filling you with light, versus going into your logical mind first and then wondering, is that what is meant, or is that what is meant? Am I supposed to do this, or am I supposed to do that? What do I do? It's not going to be clear if it's coming from your mind and the energy that comes from overthinking. So if you take this information into your heart, it gets processed appropriately. That is not to say don't pay attention to world events or things that are happening. It is to say, as you observe all of these things that are happening as a result of the shift, as a result of the next 30 years, the systems and the old are collapsing, making room for the new, more enlightened, equitable space of love to come through. And so that's the type of discernment that we're being asked or held accountable for at this time. Are we going to move forward coming from a place of love, where we're encouraging and kind, open-minded, taking in information through our heart? Or are we going to come from a place of fear, where we feel stuck, angry, and like there's nothing that we can do to improve a situation? On a trip recently, I noticed consistently everywhere I went, people were on their phones, engaged in their phones, instead of making eye contact with other people. And that weighs heavy on someone who's sensitive. Someone like me, or someone that's on a spiritual path, needs that eye contact. We need to say hello, have a nice day, send goodwill and whatnot. But that's hard to do when everyone is so engrossed in their phone, and whatever work is so up for them, that's so important that it takes precedence over communicating with other people. I'm not saying everybody should stop what they're doing and talk to me. I'm just saying that I'm noticing this all over. In restaurants, I see couples on their phones instead of communicating with each other. This is the type of energy that often stems from coming from a place of fear. Coming from a place of love consciously allows us the opportunity to have pure communication and receive downloads from spirit to lift each other up. And we're taking information into our heart, not our head. So what we're offering and taking in is of the highest level information and love and Christ consciousness. Okay, it's also important to take a little time out to be in nature. Maybe that just means you have a balcony with a plant, but you're admiring it. Or maybe you're blessed like me and could just down the road go to the beach. Or maybe there's a forest nearby or some type of outdoor space where you can go and simply be silent within your outdoor space. When we are in nature, we're creating an opportunity, an open channel to receive information that is of the light into our hearts to be processed in a way that allows us to move forward. The next thing that came through from my guides is this is a time for us to open up our throat chakra, our center of communication, as we're releasing stuff that isn't needed anymore, getting rid of spiritual garbage and crud that keeps us from moving forward. It's going to be imperative that we speak our truth, that we say the things that we're feeling, and tell people our perspective, share with them what we're thinking through words. But those words need to be coming from a place of kindness and love. So don't just come out with something in a mean, bossy pants kind of way. Be thoughtful and in the moment about what you're putting out, because this is a time where our throat chakra is very open and others are open to hear what you have to say. It just needs to be coming from a place of light and love, or else it just rings hollow or falls heavy. And we're also, as we're receiving information, showing active listening. We actually look like we're listening instead of thinking about the next thing that we're going to say. Give your full attention to the person speaking or to the information that is coming in. This is also a time with the new moon and the solar eclipse coming on Saturday to get clarity from those that on the other side that work with you. So this is an appropriate time to say, I'd like to know who my spirit guides are. I'd like to know who my angels are. Please, if it is of the highest good, show me who that is. Show me who those people are. It's like a little psychic window. It's really like a big psychic window is open, and this is time for you to clear out the yucky poop and bring in that which is of the light to help us move forward, because energies are changing. The earth itself is a living thing, and it is changing. The earth goes through a cycle every 12,000 years where there are great changes. That could be earthquakes, watery events, things like that. But the light coming from the sun is also different. You can research that about the photon belt and the solar flares that we're receiving daily that used to be a very rare occurrence. You may notice that it's brighter outside on a sunny day, and that's all part of earth changes, cosmic growth that we are experiencing. So you can decide whether or not you're coming from a place of love and open yourself up to those energies and new information, or you can come from a place of fear where you're not engaging in any of this, but you're just focused on what you have to do next and all of the challenging things about our lives, having to pay the bills, take care of the kids, go do this errand and that errand. None of that goes away, but how we perceive it and internalize it can change at this time. So basically, those are the things that I received to share with you from my guides. Ask questions. If there's something that is curious to you, write it down below and I can address it in an upcoming video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please give a like or a share to help me build my channel.